Test, test.
Gotcha.
I'm playing with some stuff, maybe. Thank you. Let's see here.
You want me to tell you when I can hear you?
Hang on 1 second. I'm trying to get back into my Zoomy here. How does this work? Change that. Let's go to here. Push that like that. All right. Now, how do I see everybody that's on here? Oh, Mavis, you're not showing us your pretty face.
I'm getting ready. I'm combing my hair.
Ken, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm not combing my hair.
Okay.
Oh, no.
How was your birthday last night, sir?
Well, it was a little unusual. I had to cook my own dinner, but it was very good.
Okay. You share a birthday with my father, so.
Okay,
Oh, well,
1 minute
that's,
warning, everyone.
there's all sorts of important people born on the 26th.
Absolutely.
Really need that donut now.
I am researching the treat requirement I learned about yesterday.
The what?
Yes,
The
there is
treat
a monthly,
requirement.
there is a monthly
Treat.
list that needs updating, and everyone is supposed to be on that list to bring treats at the monthly county board meeting. It's a little weird now because not everybody is in person for the county board, but yeah, okay, everyone's here, so we're gonna get started. The time being on my clock, 10:23 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting of the CARES Act Allocation Committee meeting to order, Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. I am Committee Chair Jarrett Sanchez. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Fraz,
Here.
Kenyon,
Here.
Martin,
Here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Shepro,
Shepro here.
Surges,
Surge's here.
Madam Prague. Sanchez. Here.
Okay, if I could have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of December 28th, 2020. Mr. Frost moves.
Second.
Molina seconds.
Shepro moves.
Eager today. All right, I like it.
They're up, they're right up to you.
I saw Martin's hand go up. Frost and Martin, yeah. Any corrections, additions, comments? Hearing and seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Fraz,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges.
Surge's, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone in person or online who would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay, we'll move on to our discussion items. Okay, so today is a little bit different than a lot of the previous CAC meetings. We're coming back with our state's attorney staff for a few resolutions, and we'll have some discussion on what's going on with the OCR programs, as well as future rental assistance program. We're not going to have the full update on that today, but we have some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to kind of go through this quickly. We have Carolyn Brady here in attendance. If Carolyn, you could cover the discussion item A for us.
Hi. Currently, we have 25 million in the CARES fund. And as Mr. Onsick said in finance, we got the 15.7 million for emergency rental grant. Today, and that includes the expenditures I expect to do today. The auditor has them for approval. which includes 1.1 for the fire, which includes 1.1 for Huntley Fire, and another 1.5 million going out to nonprofit. I expect will go out today as soon as we get the auditor's approval.
Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Brady? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Onzik, do you have anything that you would like to share with the committee at this time?
Not specifically, but I could maybe point to the report, the finance report that I included, let's see, on page, let's see, sorry, page 8 of my finance report on the finance committee agenda. There was, I shared a summary of where we're at for the coronavirus relief fund in terms of the remaining unexpended allocations that was remaining of 19,358,000. And it breaks it out by category. So it kind of gives you a snapshot of where we were at as of the end of December, and it reflects what I reported to the U.S. Department of Treasury. And that's the same report that shows that the county payroll allocation has been fully expended. And so if you look, yeah, that's it on the screen. So that's really all I have to share. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, some of you are online for the finance committee, some of you weren't. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Onzik? Thank you, Mr. Onzik, appreciate it. Okay, so that kind of covers also funds available for current distribution. Pass number B. Before we get to the status of the OCR programs and the rental assistance, Fabiola, you're online. Can you just give us a little update of where things have been at for you and what's going on right now?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Right now, the program has focused on sending out those disbursements to small businesses, which are uploaded to the webpage. So there's a list of when each business got a payment disbursement. We're working with the other units of government that just had a submission on January the 18th. We just returned those back and are in the process of finalizing those reviews so that we can go ahead and issue those disbursements by end of week, if not at the beginning of the week. And slowly but surely, we're getting additional documentation from small businesses as they are being made aware of their disbursement as well. So we have anticipated about 3 million to be able to go out by end of week. And right now, there is $1,769,204.87 remaining for all of the applicant pools. That includes $302,000 that is being processed right now as well. At this point, we have a couple of resolutions before you that are requiring your review and approval. So I will return this back to Chairman Sanchez to address those resolutions.
Okay, and Mr. Berger isn't able to attend the meeting today. So I know we're going to want to talk about the emergency rental assistance program. Would it be okay with the committee if I move those two discussion items D and E to after our new business, the resolutions that we can discuss with Fabiola, who is here right now?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that. So for the first resolution, authorizing approval of additional applications of coronavirus relief program funding agreement with small businesses as of January 27th, 2021 for distribution. Could I get a motion and a second?
I would move it. Kenyon.
Kenyon moves, Fraz seconds. Fabiola, do you have anything that you need to add to this? This is kind of just our standard signing off on checks that are going to go out to businesses.
Correct. And I just want to note that Partner in Health was previously approved by the CAC for a little over $800 in their initial application. They then resubmitted their documents and we were able to approve them for the full 20,000. So I'm asking that you please approve the 20,000 award distribution for them.
Any questions or comments on this resolution?
Chairman Sanchez, Surges here.
Mr. Surges?
Is there a, and I do apologize, I was not able to review my notes last night. And I am looking for some version of an updated spreadsheet.
Yeah,
of
if you look
exactly where we're,
on the agenda, you will see the updated spreadsheet from Fabiola on the round one grant applications. And then Mr. Berger was able to get us his list just this morning. He sent that out to everyone, so we'll cover that. But if you look in the agenda for this, at the bottom, you'll see the updated spreadsheet.
okay, hang on, I am in my CAC committee. Here's Act Allocation Committee agenda packet, hang on. I have a
This
brand
is-
new laptop I'm dialing in with. I'm just trying to open this up and see where my,
Try page 5.
I don't have a page 5. What am I doing wrong here? Gosh darn it. My agenda only goes to 4.
They should work together.
Try the next page.
Yeah, it's there. So if you can't find it, I make sure I send you a copy.
Okay, that'd be great. I don't want to delay everybody. That'd be spectacular.
Yeah, I
next
just got
time-
mine
next
off
time-
the website.
Cliff, I was just going to say, next time, just try turning it off and on again.
That's what Audrey does with me. She just,
Okay, any other questions or comments on this resolution? Seeing and hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Fraz,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Shepro,
Jeffro, yes.
Surges.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next resolution, establishing supporting documentation submission deadline for approved applications of coronavirus relief fund program funding. Can I get a motion and a second on this one? Fraz moves.
Jeffro, second.
Shepro seconds. Okay, so for this one, I'll let Fabiola give you some more detail, but we're just trying to establish some deadlines for documentation so that we can really get everything finalized. Working with multiple businesses is not easy. So that's the general nature of this, is establishing a deadline for documentation. Fabiola, can you give a little bit more detail about what we're doing with this resolution?
Yes, absolutely. This is more of an administrative function for us. As we are reviewing the second rounds of submissions, those estimated reimbursements are not fully allocated. There is some funding left over. We are also finding that we are getting partial submissions for the remaining allocation. So what we want to do is we want to then go back and re-review all of the outstanding applicants with remaining allocations, give them a very specific breakdown of what was approved, what is still being needed to be submitted to the program, and give them a final deadline date. This will allow us to then take the entire remaining 1.769 million and be able to disperse those funds for those supporting documentation. The supporting documents have been submitted, and return any remaining funds back into the Fund 353 contingency so that the CAC can then have sufficient time to review any outstanding county expenses that may be remaining, or if they want to then funnel them into the small businesses for round 2, they can go ahead and do so. But I just want to provide the CAC with enough time to be able to review that remaining amount. And also this is in preparation of the possibility of having additional CRF funds being made available to the county so that we can take a look at where the need was, how much was allocated, and take necessary steps to be in a better position to take on new funds.
Any questions or comments on this resolution? Seeing and hearing none, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Franz,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a placeholder resolution that we're going to utilize today. This came up, we have a new auditor and she's being very thorough, coming at the job with fresh eyes and a new approach. So she's come up with some things that she wanted to go over. And so we're taking a look at one of our older resolutions for the smaller units of local government. So I'm just going to read the title of this resolution, ask for a second and a motion in a second, and then we'll discuss it. So this will be a resolution, an amendment resolution, amendment to resolution number 20-337, authorizing approval of applications and intergovernmental agreements with units of local government for distribution of CARES Act funding. Can I get a motion and a second? Mr. Kenyon moves, Mr. Faraz seconds. Fabiola, can you explain this for us, please? This just came up this morning, so I had only gotten briefly updated on this.
Yes, as we process these disbursements, we include our resolutions for the auditor to have as part of the record. And in doing so, we've got a line for the fire protection districts, which after the October 8th CAC meeting, there was discussion as to an 83% allocation for eligible expenses. The language in the resolution reads 83% of expenses. So the change would be for the fire protection districts specifically to say 83% of their eligible expenses. And that would include the Excel sheet that has a breakdown of their eligible amount, and including the 83% CAC allocation. This will allow us to then go ahead and process any remaining fire protection districts that have any outstanding allocations to be distributed.
Any questions or comments on this resolution?
Shepro, so as I understand it, this is merely a correction to reflect what the intent was as distinct from how it came out in the printed resolution.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Franz,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our new business portion. Now we're going to go back to discussion items D and E. Mr. Berger was not able to attend today. He had another meeting, but he did send an update along. So all of you on the committee, and we'll make sure the full board gets this as well. All of you on the committee just received this morning at about 9:30 the updated list for the round 2 business grants. I know everyone's been asking for that. So that's in there in your email, and we'll have that in the minutes. So if you have any businesses that have been asking you for the status, you can refer to that list. And if you have any questions, obviously, just give me a call and I can help you out with that. Mr. Berger's notes he sent along for the round 2 program, we've received 379 applications, and the initial review has been completed. They've had 2 check runs totaling $2.3 million so far, and they're preparing now for their 3rd run of checks. The total funds allocated, $6.4 million. Now, if you divide that by the total amount that you can be eligible for, $25,000, that gives you approximately 257 applicants. So we know at least 257 of our applicants will receive funding. We know not all of them are going to receive the full amount, just what they're eligible for. So we do know that the top 257, assuming that they have truly eligible expenses and they'll get their paperwork in on time, they will be awarded their grant. The staff is working on finalizing applicants 1 through 250 right now. because they're going in order. We've got $6.4 million and they go in order of each application. Now that we've got all the funding agreements, that huge push that we had leading up to December 30th, all the flurry around that is passed. Now they've been going through these applications in detail, checking all the paperwork, verifying everything. And then once an application is completed in its review, they take that money out of the whole pile and they award it to the recipient. So right now they're just going through 1 through 250. They know they're going to probably have to knock some people off. Many people won't be eligible for the full award. So it's been a slow process. The majority of the businesses haven't submitted their complete applications. And so our staff is calling and emailing and doing whatever they can every single day, getting on the businesses to send in the documentation that they need to finish any part of the process that hasn't been finished yet. I know it's tough for businesses out there, but just keep in mind our staff is very small and doing the best they can. So the fewer phone calls they have to make and the fewer emails following up they have to make, the better. Let's see.
Chairman Sanchez?
Mr. Surgis.
So the spreadsheet that Scott sent this morning is beautiful. Thank you so much. And at least for my area, under the cultural tab, seeing Santa's Village there, we may have made the difference between somebody existing in the spring and not existing. So, I mean, bravo to everybody. Thank you. Do we have a similar spreadsheet to this for everything from round 1 that's available? And then second question, is this information public? Like if I was to send the spreadsheet out to somebody and say, dude, you didn't get your paperwork in, is that palatable or is that a no-no and this is confidential stuff?
Well, if you received it in your email and it said confidential, then it's confidential, but this is not. This is public information, so you can email this, pass it around to whomever you'd like.
Okay.
And we're discussing it at a public meeting.
Yeah, and we don't have a similar spreadsheet for the round 1 programs because the state's attorney's office is managing all of those. So it's just different offices, different spreadsheets. I know it's confusing, but
can we get that? I mean, that information should be just.
Yeah, I'll talk to Fabiola to see, and I'll follow up with you to see what you're looking for exactly.
Yeah, but the one that Scott's the one that you have up on screen right now, perfect. It's black and white. It's right there. There's no guessing.
Okay, yeah, I'll follow up with you about this afterwards.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so just kind of briefly going back to Scott's report here, they know that not all the applicants will receive an award, but they're estimating between the 250 to 300 range. So looking on the list, it's a pretty good chance that up to the 300th applicant will be approved. But again, they're going through it one at a time. And they can't determine the certainty exactly when the checks are going to go out. I know everyone wants to know, hey, I'm on the list, I've been approved, but when am I going to see the money? So it's just going to take some time. Everyone has to just be as patient as they can.
Jared, Cliff again.
They're working. Hold on one second, Cliff. Let me just finish this up. They're working as quickly as they can. They definitely don't want to sit on this money. So just so everyone understands, I know there might be some business owners listening. They are getting through this as quickly as they possibly can. They want to help you out, and it's just unfortunate that there's the expectation that we got this money, let's just get it out right away. But the reality is very complicated. We have a lot of laws and rules to follow, things to figure out. So, but we're here. The money is on its way. And yeah, staff does take some hits. They get phone calls, angry phone calls that are difficult for some people to handle, but they're trying their best, and they're working really well. I mean, per dollar, we get a lot out of our employees in OCR. Okay, I think that's pretty much.
Chairman?
Oh, they're looking to potentially, it's looking like we might be transferring some money out of the cultural grant program into the business applicants, ranging in about $420,000. That's just projected at this point. Yes, Mr. Surgis.
So and it's great to see that transfer. That's outstanding. So on the line items where it says status, if it says, I'm just trying to understand it, final payment pending, does that mean they're approved and we just didn't get around to it yet, or they're not approved?
That would be my understanding. I have not had a chance to go through this document with Mr. Berger. I just received it this morning along with everyone else. So I do not know exactly the definition of that term, but I would guess that means, yeah, the final payment is pending. So maybe they have received some money already, and then more is coming because paperwork had to be submitted, things like that.
Just the ones that say follow up for missing documents are pretty straightforward, or paid in full is
Yeah.
straightforward, but the final payment pending is, I don't know how to interpret that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks, man.
Okay. Mr. Frost.
I would also ask you to follow up on the performing arts amusement venue. I was just curious about the Arcada Theater in St. Charles. They were one of the original 3 that we built that category around. And I was just, I'd like to find out the status of that, or if not, why they were denied.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman? It's,
Yes, Madam Chair.
I have been talking to staff, and to your point where there may be additional funds coming down the pipeline from our federal government, the current staff is stretched beyond capacity. And I would like to have us consider at least temporary staff when we do, just if we are fortunate enough to get additional grants, to be able to go through this processing of these grants with a little bit more expediency. When you have 250 separate files of the 400 plus applications that are coming out, that's a significant amount of work to follow up to make sure that all of our businesses and our not-for-profits have the correct applications, the correct budget numbers, and to work with some of our businesses who small businesses who may be very effective in what they do for a business, but are not very effective in their financial reporting. So there is a lot of instruction and teaching that has to go through, sharing with our small businesses how to fill out these reports, which takes up a lot of our staff time and causing I don't think their efficiency to work for the work of the county is as efficient if they have to work on these 450 plus applicants. And there may be significant more if there's additional money coming through. So when that happens, I hope that the CARE Act committee will start discussing that with the department heads and see what their needs are, personnel needs, for you to consider.
Yeah, in response to that, I will say if we do get more money that comes in from the federal government where we can do more programs like this, my first thing will be to look at our staffing needs and to make sure that we do use administrative cost money to provide more staff to our departments that work on this, or whoever works on this, and move us more in the direction of expediency and stress reduction for our employees. So that's where I'm coming from on that. Mr. Frost?
Yeah, I would agree with Madam Chairman and yourself wholeheartedly. I think, well, first of all, I want to congratulate staff. They've done a great job, but I know Cliff and I have always had lots of questions about individual businesses, and particularly in the area of communications. I just felt that we really needed somebody that, like the lists that we got today are great, but I think if we had enough staff, we'd be able to produce those up-to-date lists for every single meeting. And I just think we've been understaffed since day one on this thing. So we were given the money to staff up, and we probably should have staffed up a little bit more than we did, but we can do that next round.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments for this portion of the meeting? This is, again, just the update on what's happening with OCR department in regards to this work. Scott apologizes for not being able to be here. He's a busy man. Okay, so nobody else has any questions or comments, and see some of you guys in the audience. I'll make sure you get this spreadsheet right away. Okay. Okay, so for our next item of discussion, we have the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. I will say that I've spoken with Scott about this and where we're at. Obviously, you may recall that we have started the discussion looking into the possibility of using the state's Department of Housing to help us administer this rent relief to Kane County residents. And so where we're at in that conversation right now is the state, IDA, had come back to us and said, hey, we need a little bit of time to kind of get all of our ducks in a row, figure things out on our end, and then come to you guys all with an IGA, because we're not the only county that's looking at partnering with IDA for this rental money. We're definitely not alone in this. So right now they're just asking for a couple more weeks. It's looking like mid to late February. That's when the conversation will pick up again with the state. We're going to see where they're at on things and start developing an IGA. So that being said, that's where our main focus is at with this rental program. And when that conversation picks up again with the state, that's when we'll start meeting more regularly to get into the details of what we're going to do with this program. As far as today, I know everybody wants to talk about it, so I want to open it up for that conversation. Keep in mind, if we're going to, we have 90% of it has to go to renters. So we have 10% that will be allowable for administrative expenses. And that's where we can look at anything outside of the money going to the state. If we wanted to do something on our end, that would help, maybe even if it's just marketing and communication, helping our residents understand what the program is and how to apply for it, things like that. So I'll open it up to discussion for anyone who wants to add anything, and then anyone who's in the audience here who would also like to add anything. But that's where we're at right now, just kind of waiting to hear back from the state on the status of their program and what the IGA is going to look like. Mr. Frost.
When the information does come in, I think it's important that we clarify when somebody says rent that we're talking about, are we going to be talking about only residential rents, or are we going to be talking about commercial? I'm just throwing that out there. It might come up. I'm assuming with the business program that would cover rents. So I guess it will depend on how the state writes it or the feds write it.
My understanding is it's for people. It's for residents.
That's my understanding as well, is that it's limited to residential only real estate.
Yeah, that is confirmed. It's only residential.
Thank you.
Mr. Kenyon.
I wonder if we'll have a problem since the rent money goes directly to the landlord. And since we have a freeze on evictions, and if you're behind on your rent, they know they can't throw you out. Are you going to apply for this to go to your landlord? Is there a way for landlords to say that they need the rent money?
Yeah, so landlords can work.
They can work with.
Yeah, they can work with the state and actually helping their tenants. Some tenants, they might view this as cumbersome or just it's not going to happen kind of thing, very negative thinking. And so landlords in those instances can intervene and help them to apply. I don't think that landlords can apply on behalf of the tenants, but they can. Oh, they can.
They can apply. This is Chairman Pirog. My understanding is that the landlords, small landlords can apply on behalf of the tenants, but they have to get signature from the tenant, giving them permission to include their application. It's simply to protect our small landlords so they don't have foreclosure pressure on them from not getting their rent paid.
Yeah, it's such.
I think though that
Mr. Shepard,
Mr. Kenyon's comment is still apropos. I think the concern is that if a signature by the tenant is required, and you'd say, well, why wouldn't they? I mean, it depending on how much work it is or what their attitude is, I think that possibly is something where there ought to be some sort of bypass, because if you can't get the tenant to at least sign, my understanding is the application can't go forward.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Vern Tepe.
Tepe.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had some experience with this last year when the state went through it. They had a system wherein the primary way that things work is that the tenant put in the request for the assistance and provided their details in order for them to qualify. The state then contacted electronically the landlord and the landlord had to provide additional documentation and guarantees, as well as agreeing to not evict that particular tenant. And the payments were made directly to the landlord. So that was the primary way in which it worked last year, and I'm assuming they would do it the same way.
My understanding is
again,
going to
you
be very
still
similar.
have the
at
question.
Hold on, Mr. Shepherd. My understanding is going to
Sorry.
be very similar, but what the state is doing right now is kind of seeing how they have to reconfigure the way they administer this kind of program, because the applicant pool is going to be significantly larger. So I think that's part of the weight that we're on with the state. But thank you for your comment, Mr. Tepe, and your experience.
And Mr. Shepherd, if I may just clarify, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
From what I have heard from the state is that the original program that Mr. Tepe just referenced was highly successful here in Illinois. So our concern about having reluctant tenants fill out the application appropriately or give authorization is not as concerning as expressed. I believe that tenants would want to have their rent paid, especially since it's a grant program, because they know ultimately when the eviction moratorium does get suspended, that those evictions may occur. So to get your rent paid, at least for the past 3 months, and then an additional 3 months, and then pending finances, the money may be extended once again. I'm sure that they would appreciate having that opportunity.
Did I hear Ms. Molina wanted to make a comment or question? Okay.
Good morning, Chairman. No, no comment or question. I think it's a little preliminary to discuss the details without knowing what the details are. So
Yeah.
I look forward to the continued conversation, and it's a much needed program, but thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Bates.
has there been an extension of the eviction moratorium?
My understanding is there is, but I do not know the date in which they extended it into. Do you know,
The
Madam Chair?
president has declared a nationwide moratorium.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I believe it's until September.
September. Okay. Was there
So
someone
really,
else
it's gonna-
online?
Mr. Chairman, this is Michelle Neerman from the state.
Ms. Neerman, go ahead.
How are you? Good morning. Just wanted to let you know that Scott Berger, and actually I know that Madam Chair has also participated, and I have participated in phone conferences with the Illinois Housing Development Authority and listened in with various counties in terms of their development of the program. It is our understanding that they are looking to have a portal set up so that landlords can directly apply. More will be coming on that issue. They are still in development phase. So that is part of the reason why, they need a couple months basically to get all the electronic submission portals up and running, and then to develop the IGA. So more is coming on that. I think we'll learn more about that, as you mentioned earlier, later in February. And indeed, we're supposed to have a draft IGA towards the beginning of February. So as soon as we get the draft IGA, we'll start to circulate that. I imagine there will be some working sessions to tweak the IGA, given the number of counties that are involved. And we'll keep the committee updated as that progresses.
Thank you, Ms. Neerman. Madam Chair.
I'd like to take this opportunity to share some information that I received from Rick Guzman, who's the Executive Director of the Neighbor Project, who may be a potential partner moving forward with the distribution of this grant. There are currently 8,700 Kane County households that are behind on their rent. And out of those 8,700, the majority of them, 7,700, are families on the priority group of families at below 50% of AMI, which is approximately $43,000. He goes on to say that if you are below the AMI, the lower you get with your income, the further behind you have gotten. And if we were to reach out, then this is striking numbers. If the average rent assistance need was $5,000 based on the previous program that existed in 2020 for the 7,700 highest priority families, then the estimated need here in Kane County alone would be $38.5 million. If we include the families earning between $50,000 and $74,999, that would be $43.51 million. So as we start moving forward to determining who is applicable for this grant, we have to make sure that we spend it very wisely. Now, there will be additional money from the state of Illinois as well to help subsidize this. Because this is $15,750,000 approximate dollars that we have is of great help. But we can assure our renters and our landlords that there will be additional money from the state of Illinois that is independent, that is for all Illinois residents. This portion of the money is something that we can work with very well to work with perhaps our most stressed individuals, but that would be up the decision of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are there any other questions or comments from anyone online?
If I may, my name is Kevin Malone. I work over here at the 3rd Street Courthouse. We are currently developing an eviction relief program on the judicial side. I work for Resolution Systems Institute. We're a nonprofit that specializes in ADR systems, alternative dispute resolution. We are working with Mr. Guzman over at the Neighbor Project with Prairie State Legal Services, of course, the 16th Judicial Circuit with the presiding judges over here. And we are developing a program that hopes to capture the population where evictions get filed. So when the moratoria is lifted, filings we expect will be significant. And we intend to have a system that will first direct tenants and landlords to financial assistance so that they can get the funds made available through either the state or federal government, these funds where appropriate, financial counseling so that we can put folks on the right track, legal aid where appropriate, and then finally mediation. Because at this moment, we think there's currently only the 15 million and the need is closer to double or maybe even triple that. We hope that some rent forgiveness through mediation, mutual agreement between the parties can be achieved. These programs have been successful in non-crisis times. We think it's going to be extra important during this crisis. We do hope to work with this committee to help fund this program. And so I hope to reach out to many of you to talk about how the judiciary or me for a nonprofit, wherever the most appropriate place to request those funds would come from. But for a relatively small investment, we can capture a very large percentage of landlords and tenants facing eviction, lost income, and potentially homelessness as well.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Malone. You and I have been trying to meet up this week. It's just been a busy one. So we will talk soon because I think it's an interesting program that would be very helpful for our residents that need it. And if it can come out of a little bit of that administrative cost portion of this grant, then I think that's something we should definitely consider as a committee and try and work on.
Mr. Chairman,
Question?
Bates?
Bates, go ahead.
So I have a question about Rick Guzman's numbers. I'm wondering if that might just be for Aurora, because my numbers were 180,000 households, 45,000 renters, maybe 15,000 to 20,000 renters in arrears. So I'm wondering if those are Aurora numbers, the 8,700.
The data I have here says 8,700 Kane County households, not specifically Aurora households.
Okay,
And
thank you.
you may want to take a look if you're just talking about Kane County section of Aurora or all the counties that are included within Aurora's demographics.
Okay.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Shepro, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question for Kevin, if he knows. Do we have a handle on how many eviction cases are already in the system? filed and obviously stayed pending the ultimate status of the stay order?
I do not currently have that on hand. I can look into that and find out. I do know that total filings are significantly down. It appears that landlords and tenants are doing their very best. And then, of course, with the moratoria currently in place, we anticipate many are simply holding off on filing. But I'm afraid I don't have those numbers at hand.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, I think we will conclude this portion of our meeting. So thank you everyone for contributing. Like I said, it's early on, so we'll have more to talk about this. Once the state gets back to us, we'll schedule another meeting, and hopefully leading up to that, I'll have some more information for you all. And but whatever the case may be, I think we're gonna come up with the best way to get this money out to our residents. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we have no need for other business. There's nothing for other business. No need for executive session. Could I please have a motion and a second to adjourn? Mr. Kenyon motions, Mr. Frost seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, go home anyway. Thank you all for being here.
They haven't
We'll see you
sold
next
them
time.
all.
Thank you, Jarrett.